Hey guys, Mr. V here, and I want to talk about Destiny. I want to do a little bit more of a casual first impressions type of video because I have a lot of footage to share actually, and so I'm going to need to blabber on for a while to fill it. Hopefully you're okay with that. But I'm actually quite excited about Destiny, and I'll tell you why. So the deal is myself and a bunch of other members of Bungie's community, as well even Call of Duty's community, we got to play the Destiny First Look Alpha, which by the time you're watching this video should be released today on the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3. We got to play it a little bit early, ahead of time, just before the official opening of E3 2014. We were herded up to this fancy room on the top of the AT&T Tower in downtown Los Angeles, where, man, a good chunk of Bungie's team were all just waiting for us, ready to set us up and explore their brave new world. And let's quickly talk about the footage you're watching. I started recording basically the moment I sat down and just recorded the entire time. I'm not going to be able to show you all of that because it was a couple hours, but what you're watching right now is the character creation. I take a ridiculously long time to create my characters because I think about everything. But you can see a lot of the options that are included here. They don't go too crazy in depth, which is, you can't change your cheekbones and your jaw. It's not that kind of Skyrim level creation, but for me that is perfect. I don't like having that amount of control because I will spend, 25% of the game in the character creation screen. And one of actually the first things that struck me is something I really underestimated about Destiny before playing it was the amount that I cared about my character, or how interested I was in my character and my character's build and the weapons and gadgets and items that he or she was picking up. But most of all, the detail in the characters, as you can see, these are some good looking characters, and you can really customize them. Again, not as crazy like I said before, but if there is one thing that I think is going to keep me playing Destiny for a long time when it launches, it will be my character and how I'll constantly want to improve it, the look, the abilities, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. But yeah, that was one thing I really underestimated and I did not think would be as exciting about Destiny. So after creating my Asari-like female warlock, I was plopped into the universe of Destiny, which began on Earth in old Russia after the basically that big post-apocalyptic event that you'll probably learn all about in the trailers if you watch them. And we were just basically on our own to explore the area with the help of our companion AI, which would either talk to us and brief us on missions or simply highlight where it is we needed to go. So starting off right away, that's exactly what I did. I just went where it wanted me to go. I fought against random monsters along the way. You'll also notice that there are other players playing at the same time because the space I'm currently in is a public space. So Bungie wasn't able to tell me exactly how many people will be in a space at any given time. That's something they're still working on, so there was no finalized number. But these are people you can interact with. You can dance with them or bow or salute them or do some of those World of Warcraft-like animations with them. And of course, these are spaces where you can enter into big public events, which are totally random, and you can get as involved as you'd like. And all you need to do to actually enter one is just fire at the enemies that they are facing, and then bam, you're in it and you're taking part. You can do as little or as much as you want. So this first part of the gameplay, I'm really doing everything on my own. I just wanted to get a feel for the game, check out the combat, and simply learn, what does Destiny have to offer. The game looks great. We're playing on the PlayStation 4 here, and it looks really fantastic. If we're going to talk about gameplay and combat and movement, Yes, it is a lot like Halo, but in all the right ways. Just in all the right ways. So you can, every character has their own version of the double jump. In my case, the Warlock has like a hover ability. And, I asked, do these double jumps have different characteristics between each class? And yes, they do, so they'll feel different. My specific character, again, hovers slightly, so it's not like a jump, it's like a jump and then hover, almost like a jetpack or something, but instead it's magic. But other than that, movement is fairly standard. You have your aim down sight mechanics, your hip fire mechanics, you can sprint and slide. And then of course your bumpers have your either grenade ability or your character ability. Pushing both bumpers at the same time will activate your special character ability, which in my Warlock's case was the Nova Blast. I might not even have it unlocked at this time. But in pure Bungie fashion, combat in Destiny is absolutely amazing, both in the single player and multiplayer. We'll talk about multiplayer a little later on. But even in the single player, the combat is unbelievably satisfying. The enemy AI once again is on their own and nothing too challenging, but together, as they work together, they can be quite a big challenge, especially when you have the different enemy types that work with each other in collaboration with each other against you. Some battles can get pretty tough, and I actually died a lot more than I thought I would. Not in this part, but later on. I definitely died quite often, actually. But the way you fire at enemies, the way your weapons sound, the way they handle, the way the enemies move, and it sounds funny, but even the way they die. And one of the Bungie developers even actually talked to me about that, how every enemy type has a different characteristic when they die. The Hive, for example, are very gassy, and they explode into a cloud of gas when they die. I know that sounds funny, they're very gassy, but you know that's what it is. They're made from some sort of space gas, and they explode or release this gas when you shoot them. Their weakness is the head. Not all enemies will have weaknesses there, but you'll have to find it. Just, again, just like Halo, you'll have to find the best way to take out certain enemy types, and it's a lot of fun. Again, it was very fulfilling and very satisfying, and something I guess I expected since it is Bungie, and it's really refreshing to see that in a single player first-person shooter, because there honestly haven't been many AAA, at least first-person shooters out there that have really nailed the single-player combat. This is something I think you'll definitely want to keep playing, or something that will definitely keep bringing you back, because it's just so gosh darn satisfying. So as you kill enemies, they drop loot. You can pick up the loot by simply running over it. It is all character specific, so you'll always have your own loot pool to take from. And they'll drop anything from Glimmer, which is Destiny's form of currency, or weapons and armor pieces, and they're all tiered into certain levels of rarity. Obviously, when you start getting into the colored ones, I believe like the next step up from common is green, which is not as common or just uncommon, and then of course you'll have the special type, which are gold, and they're the best weapons. I never got a gold weapon, but apparently some of the other guys who recorded got a gold weapon, and so, well, good for them. But just like a game like Diablo, I picture loot being another thing that's really going to bring people back to playing Destiny. And if I have to say, that is probably the biggest thing I'm surprised about. I wasn't sure, and I'm sure you're in the same boat, watching the trailers, listening to Bungie developers talk about the game, it wasn't really clear what is so exciting about it that will bring people back to playing it. And I think those three things I talked about, the investment in your character, the combat, and the loot, I think, as basic as they sound, those are the three things that I think are really going to bring people back to playing Destiny, after months and maybe even a year after it's released. Of course, there will be DLC, and then they're going to launch Destiny 2, and then DLC again, and then Destiny 3, and then DLC again, if that's still the sort of rumored contract that they have with Activision. But obviously they're planning to extend this game for an entire decade, so it's gotta have that magic or that addictive quality that will bring people back. And those I think are the three things that will do that. You could probably throw exploration in there, but that's obviously something we did not get to do too much of, since this is only the alpha build of the game. But with that said, let's start getting into the multiplayer of Destiny. So like I said, this space that we are in, that we started our journey in, is a public space. You can party up with anybody at any time. It's quite a simple and elegant menu to do so, I might add. And from there you can go on missions, patrols, even strikes, which I believe are the longer and more arduous missions that will take you some time to do. But the way it works, if you get into your fire team, you'll still be in a public space, so you know, and that plays into the public events that they happen. You know, you'll still be there with your fire team, and you'll be able to join in with anybody else who's playing in that public space at the time. However, when you go on your missions or your strike missions, you enter what's called a dark zone, and that's when things kind of literally they do darken in game. And at that moment, that's when the all the other players disappear, and then it's just you and your fire team, and there you are on your mission to work through whatever the waves of enemies, or to your end goal, or to the final boss of that strike or that mission. So we got to experience a bit of that, a bit of co-op action against AI, and again, it was a very satisfying experience. If there was one thing I was kind of looking for but couldn't find, was team-specific abilities. I wish classes had some sort of team-specific ability other than revive, so that we could essentially work together more. You know, I found that all the abilities were simply anti-whatever infantry. They were all about damaging the enemy. There were no such thing as, maybe there are later on in the game, but at least what we had access to, there were no like player buffs. I couldn't buff my team or fill a specific role like a support role or anything like that. So that's something I would definitely like to see. I don't know if that's something they would consider adding, or and like I said, actually that could be, I didn't look through all the abilities, so that could definitely be something, or an ability that your class will unlock later on as you rank up. So let's get into multiplayer, or competitive or adversarial player versus player multiplayer. This is where I had quite a bit of fun. The matches we played were called control matches, which are, for all intents and purposes, domination. That's what they are. There are 3 flags on the map to capture. They were 6 versus 6 game modes. And to put it very simply, it's as simple as imagining that Halo and Call of Duty had a baby, and out came Destiny, this little guy. And I say that because the gameplay felt very much, or the way your character moved around, other than the double jumps and the special abilities, felt very much like Halo. And anybody who's a fan of that is going to love that. Anybody who's a fan of Call of Duty is going to love to be able, or the ability to aim down sight with your weapon. They'll also like that even though player health is much higher and you do have a shield, it's not as high as Destiny. It actually fits somewhere just right in the middle. So time to kill, yeah, it's just right in between Call of Duty and Halo. And it felt very nice. The formula really worked. It was amazing, actually. And I had a lot of fun in the multiplayer. It surprised me. Well, I say surprised, but I shouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's Bungie, come on, right? But the way it all just kind of melded together, and I felt like they just took the best from Call of Duty and they took the best from Halo and put it together, and bam, came out with Destiny. And it feels great. The weapon play, or the gunplay in particular, was fantastic as well. They sounded great, they looked great as well. And again, just like the single player, they were very satisfying to use and to shoot. It just felt good. I really liked that you could actually play both ways. You could aim down sight and fire your weapon, but sometimes I found that my particular weapon kind of had, you know, it had too much kick, too much recoil, so I opted for hip firing a lot more than I would in a traditional Call of Duty game, and I was getting some great results out of that. So you can essentially play it just like Halo. You'll see the little like bloom reticle in the center of your screen, as well as the traditional 4 markings just like Call of Duty. So again, there's some other hybrid going on there between the two games, but you can really easily just play it like Halo or play it like Call of Duty. The mini-map in this case was a little bit more like Halo, I would say, in that as your character runs or as the enemy runs or moves, they will not show up as a dot on the map, but their direction will blip on your circular mini-map. So you'll kind of see the direction they're in, but you don't quite know exactly where they are, which is a good thing. And just like in Halo, if you crouch and move, you won't show up on the radar. So a lot of us figured that out, and that's kind of when the camping began with shotguns. And that is another thing that's a bit different than actually both games, is that you can, you have your primary weapon, which can be an assault rifle or some sort of, fusion rifles, I believe, or your sniper rifles or DMR-like rifles. Actually, the one you might notice that I was using was a triple burst rifle, so it actually felt a lot like the battle rifle from Halo, which was really cool. But on top of that, you can have your secondary or special weapon, which for a lot of us was the shotgun. I think you can... I'm not sure if you can bring your heavy weapon, which the developers talked about. To me, it appeared that you could only bring in 2 weapons. So again, your primary and your special or secondary. But because of that, you had to be really careful, because a player who you think has a long-range weapon might also have a shotgun if you try to get up close to them. So you have to be very careful. And I don't know if that's going to be something that they'll rethink in terms of balancing later on. It seemed to work, but again, we only had a short time playing it, so I'd like to see what they'll do with that eventually. And there were vehicles. You'll probably notice that in my one of my gameplays, where the map on what was it called, First Light, it's a little more open and it allows for vehicle gameplay, and it felt just again a lot like Halo, but again in a fantastic way. But speaking of maps, I guess you could call them again a bit of a hybrid between Halo and Call of Duty. The Rusted Lands was definitely more of the a Call of Duty style map, while First Light felt a lot more like Halo. So again, you're gonna get the both of best worlds, I think, with Destiny's multiplayer. So obviously the gameplay you're seeing here isn't multiplayer, but I did capture 3 sessions that I've already posted, and I will link that in the description so you can catch those. I got a pretty cool 21 and something gameplay. You'll notice at the end of the match it didn't tell me how many kills I got. I'm sure I could look that up, or how many deaths, how many times I died, but I'm pretty sure I can look that up after. But yeah, I got a nice 21 gameplay. In another one, I got a pretty cool triple kill with my Nova bomb. I found that was one kind of meta game that was really cool within Destiny's multiplayer, is you never know if your enemy has their special ability, and so it's really nerve-wracking when you're, let's say, capturing a flag with 2 others or 3 others, when you're all huddled together, because if the guy sneaks up on you and just unleashes their Nova bomb, you're all dead. You're just all dead, and bam, all your names are gonna pop up on the kill feed, and that'll be embarrassing. So yeah, you never know if they're gonna have it, because it builds up throughout the course of a gameplay. In a way, it's kind of like a kill streak. The more you do, the more you kill, the more you complete objectives, that meter for your special ability fills up, and once it's filled up, you'll get a notification on screen saying your ability, or you are now supercharged, and you can unleash that ability. And it's it's up to you. You can waste it on a single person. You could completely waste it and just miss, and then have to do it all over again. Or you might get lucky, like some of us did, and you come up on 3 or 4 guys capturing a flag, and bam. So definitely check out my gameplay if you haven't yet. Other than that, we'll wrap it up here. That's been my first impressions of Destiny, and I think I was a little bit more surprised. I was expecting a quality, polished product from a company like Bungie, and that's definitely something that I saw here. And they only are going to be able to add more polish within the next couple of months that they still have. But I found the game more, I don't know, exciting than I thought it was going to be, and that is because of the couple things I mentioned before. The character, you can really invest in them, the combat, which felt great, and of course the loot, being able to just build up your loot. Everybody loves loot. That's why games like Borderlands and Diablo are so popular. And then of course the multiplayer is just fantastic, and I don't know if it's not going to become this competitive thing like Call of Duty. I'm not sure what type of presence it will have on YouTube, but I think anybody who loves Halo is just going to love Destiny's multiplayer. And I do think a lot of Call of Duty guys will be able to get into it as well, even Battlefield players, whatever. It's a quality, solid product that we've played so far, and I can't wait to see what they unleash in the final build. I'm not sure if it's going to be as robust as some of their multiplayer offerings in previous Halo games, since they're doing a lot with their core experience, which is the single player, the open world, and the player versus environment missions. So yeah, we'll see if they're gonna how many modes are they gonna have, what type of game types. I'm not sure. But yeah, I just can't wait to play more of this, man. Like, I think I'm going to be playing quite a bit of Destiny when it launches on September 9 for all the platforms except PC. Sorry, guys. I don't know. I don't know. Just ask them nicely. Send them cupcakes, and maybe they'll make a PC version. But yeah, that has been my time. Play the Destiny First Look Alpha. Check it out, and let me know what you guys think. Is this something that you are just not going to be able to get enough of when it launches, or is it something you've seen or you feel like you've seen or played before? Either way, let me know in the comments, and keep your sights on MP First for everything Destiny related up to its launch and beyond. We will be covering the game, of course, like mad, because I think it's going to be doing some pretty cool things with the first-person shooter genre mixed with the I guess MMO genre, or at least the always online and seamless multiplayer experience that a lot of these next gen games are headed in. And just like they did with Halo, perhaps Bungie will be the pioneers of this new style of gameplay. So I hope you enjoyed the video and my impressions. I'm anxious to hear what you guys think, so let me know, and I will catch you later.